So I've been wanting to talk about this whole thing for a little bit, and it's been about a month, I think, since the Air Force released that footage of the UFO and admitted to dumping $22 million a year into advanced aerospace threat identification program that was previously classified. You've seen the footage, right?
Is that the one where those guys are chasing that thing and they're like, there's a whole bunch of them?
Yeah, and definitely not a drone, and it's like the reverse negative.
Yes, that is very interesting footage. That thing is fucking moving.
Yeah, and then it starts changing shape, or I don't know, maybe it just was changing position and it looked like it changed shape. I don't know. But this came out mid-December, I think. It was probably a month ago or so. Well, by the time this comes out, it'll be closer to 2 months probably. But we haven't talked about it yet, so I wanted to bring that up. And people have been calling for disclosure forever. You know, the whole Stephen Greer thing, the Disclosure Project, and all that. And
I wanted to ask you about that because that ramped up really fast and really hard and strong, or whatever. I'm going to re-say that. It ramped up really quick and with a lot of velocity behind it. He was even on Joe Rogan's podcast talking about his shit. And that shit just got like, it didn't get shut down, but nothing happened.
Well, so the whole Stephen Greer thing is a double-edged sword, really. I think in a lot of ways what he did with the whole citizens hearing for disclosure, I think it was back in 2001 maybe, but where he had all these super high-level witnesses. He had guys from the Rendlesham incident. He had people that were in the Air Force. He had Gordon Cooper and I don't know. He had a ton of different military and government witnesses that were willing to come out, and they all came up, told their story, and said that they would be willing to testify in front of Congress that what they're saying is true. And that didn't get, I mean, it got coverage, but people didn't really pay that much attention to it for some reason. And it was just kind of buried away after the fact, and you can still find it. It's on YouTube and everything, so it's not like it was buried, but it just wasn't given that much attention. But he came out with a DVD a couple of years later. I think there were 2 DVDs, like 2 hours apiece, but they all had the witnesses on there talking about their experiences, and there were a guy on there who said that he saw photographs of a base on the moon. They had a guy who said that he was doing nuclear. Well, I don't know if they were loaded warheads or not, but they were doing missile testing in space. And he claimed that at one point a UFO came in and zapped the missile that was launched up there, and it just rendered it completely inert after that. But it was just a bunch of stories like that, basically. And I think he later used them in his one of his documentaries that he came out. It's on Netflix. If you look up Stephen Greer, you'll find it. I can't remember the name though. But the thing with him is that he brings all these witnesses, but then it's almost like he sabotages the whole thing either because of his own ego or because there's someone else behind him. But he has all these credible witnesses, but then he'll do these camping trips where you have to pay like $5,000 to go sit in the woods with him and go through this training and listen to him talk about himself. And then you see lights in the sky, and he's apparently able to communicate with the beings in these craft, and it's all love and light, and there's no evil aliens. They're all good aliens, and it's a bunch of malarkey, Mateo.
Yeah, you had mentioned a while ago about how he was charging people like $5,000 to go on his little hippie trips, and that's too bad. That's sad to hear because that's just a grab.
It is, and even to go to his speaking engagements, it's ridiculously expensive. Like, you go to listen to this guy talk for an hour, and it's like $60 or more.
Whoa, yeah, fuck off. I'm not going to pay anybody that much money. I'm not going to pay.
Yeah, dude, I'm going to go see Bill Burns next month for fucking $5, and it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
I think the whole notion of disclosure is going to be something different than what people are expecting. And I think what we got here in mid-December was the start of it, but I think that by releasing this, it's the equivalent of saying the day of the crash at Roswell that they recovered a flying disc, and then the next day coming back and saying that it was a weather balloon. And what I mean by that is the reality was that it was neither one of those things. And it's all psyops. And I think it's been psyops since that time. I think really if we go back to World War II, when we were seeing these things, nobody knew what the fuck they were. The Germans didn't know it was affecting the Germans. It was affecting the Allies. It was affecting the Russians. Everybody was seeing this shit, and there was no explanation for it. After the war, we recovered some wacky designs from Nazi bases, but we never found any finished products of anything. And these things were affecting the Nazis too, so maybe the Nazis were just inspired by what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was then, and then we can also look at the Battle for Los Angeles, where we had something enter our airspace. We were bombing on that thing all night long. Didn't put a scratch in it. It just floated on down the coast like nothing. And people paint that, they kind of brush that off, say it was war nerves. They saw a blimp, and war nerves made them think that it was something else. But if you launch mortars at a blimp, it's going to explode.
Yeah.
We don't make mortar-proof blimps.
Yeah, I mean, when people can still go in their backyard and around that area and pull shells out of the grass, I mean, that's more than war nerves. I mean, they unloaded on that thing for like how long?
It was hours.
Can you imagine living right there and hearing holy hell be unleashed for...
Yeah.
Damn.
You're not going to unleash for hours on something that's not there.
That's the best way to put that.
Yeah. And I think after our experiences with World War II, and knowing that we have no fucking clue what this shit is, that kind of started our study into it. And by our, I mean military intelligence and government agencies looking into it. And they never admitted that they were looking into it. And, well, I shouldn't say they never did, but at first they didn't. And then they later claimed that they stopped. I've gone over the whole Project Grudge, Project Blue Book thing before. But for those that don't know, Project Grudge was the first Air Force run UFO research program. And then they shut that down, but people weren't satisfied with the conclusions they came to, so they reopened it as Project Blue Book. And that's the most famous one. That was in the 50s. And during that time, there was a huge increase in UFO sightings across the entire country. 1952, we had UFOs literally fly over the White House. President Truman went on air and actually talked, he mentioned these UFOs. So it wasn't something that they were saying didn't happen. This was something that happened. It's been documented. It was observed by radar and observed by people on the ground. There's video footage of these lights in the sky flying over the White House.
Wow.
And and so Project Blue Book ended up becoming basically a PR scam for the Air Force. And they would, at any given time, they only had a handful of people working the entire project desk, going through the documents and all that. And those people were regularly rotated out. And then they started having scientists come in, Dr. J. Allen Hynek being the most famous, who would investigate. And initially it was his job to find any excuse for what these things were, just to shut down the public perception of UFOs and basically toe the line, say that they're all bullshit. And he started out as a skeptic, but throughout his investigations, he eventually became a believer. And after Blue Book, he founded his own research center for UFOs. And he died in the 80s, though. But he became a believer, and he did a lot of work in the UFO field, researching things. And he, even though he became a believer, he was still a skeptic. So he wanted to be able to explain these things, but there were things he just couldn't explain. And it was these unexplained things. And it's the old story. If even 1% of the sightings are real, that's still 1%. That's still something that is real.
Yeah, it's going on. Whatever,
Right. But I think I feel like there's something to these people that are being pushed in the direction towards disclosure, like people like Stephen Greer and now Tom DeLonge. That's another thing that kind of made me want to talk about this, was the Tom DeLonge interview on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Now, I was talking about this with one of our buddies on Instagram, 80s movies douchebag. And
what a douchebag.
I still haven't listened to it. I listened to parts of it. I've heard Joe Rogan talk about it afterwards and basically say that the guy needs mental help. So I don't know what to take from this. He's from a shitty band, and now he talks about aliens. It doesn't mean much to me as far as this stuff goes. So I don't know. So
here's the thing. This is the Joe Rogan thing was weird, because it seemed like throughout a lot of it, Joe Rogan was kind of mocking him. And I mean, in Joe Rogan's defense, Tom DeLonge wanted to go on his show and talk about all this stuff, but anytime Joe Rogan would ask him a question, he would say, I can't talk about that. So it was like, what the fuck did you come on to talk about? And I mean, he did talk about some stuff, and he wouldn't name any names of his government contacts. But if you look at the names of some of the people he's associated with through his, I think it's called To the Stars Academy, there's some pretty legit people that are behind him.
Really?
And yeah, and his whole thing is to promote disclosure, and he's working with government agencies. And he's basically, what he's saying is that him and his group are setting up the public for disclosure, and they're doing that through mass media. They're going to be doing, he's written some fictional books that's based on real things that happened allegedly, and he said they're going to be putting movies out and comic books and all this shit. But on the other side,
all stuff you can buy. It'll be available at Hot Topic.
Yeah. On the other side of things, though, they're doing research into free energy and different propulsion devices, and being able to launch rockets with lasers, like all sorts of weird shit. But this is all allegedly done. Well, I shouldn't say all allegedly done, but a lot of it is allegedly done based on alien technology, recovered alien tech. And the government has been working with him to, they've been feeding him information, feeding him and his team information, and they're working with him to set up leaks and, I guess, bring about disclosure in some way.
So he's claiming that he's working with government agencies to organize leaks?
That there's individuals within the government, high-ranking officials in military intelligence, that are working with him. And he said that they admitted that they had alien bodies that were recovered. They have craft that they're. A lot of the technology we use today is based on technology recovered from these craft. And a lot of those Black Triangle sightings are actually a military craft that was developed using alien tech. And it's like, it uses a completely different propulsion device. It has to do with gravity. I don't really know the scientifics of it. I'm not a fucking scientist, but, I don't know. To me, I feel like he's going to be another Paul Bennewitz, where
he sounds like he's getting dick dutied.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And he actually, I think Richard Doty might be working with him in some capacity as well, which should automatically ring bells, even though allegedly Richard Doty is no longer part of that organization that he, after the whole Bennewitz thing, he kind of stopped doing that sort of thing. But for those that don't know, we did a show on the Paul Bennewitz thing, but
yeah,
it's there's a book and a documentary called Mirage Men, which is all about Richard Doty and basically how he drove this man insane, thinking that he was onto this war between aliens and Earth, and that he was seeing all this stuff that he shouldn't be seeing, and the dude went insane and he's dead now. But I feel like this is the same situation, except we're getting it on a larger scale. Like they're using a UFO fanboy who's got celebrity status to spread their version of what the truth behind the UFO phenomenon is.
Yeah, you gotta naturally question anybody who's officially with the government and who's involved in this type of shit, who's going to leak information to you. That just, that's like, he sounds like he's putting all his money on just a bad idea.
Right. And whenever these happen, like with Paul Bennewitz, it happened with, what's his name? The author of Behold a Pale Horse, Bill Cooper. That's right.
Okay.
So yeah, it happened with Paul Bennewitz. It happened with Bill Cooper, the author of Behold a Pale Horse. And the way that they do it, they play on your ego. You look at what they did with Paul Bennewitz. They brought him in because he reported seeing something he shouldn't have seen. He thought they were UFOs, so they decided to go along with that, and they played with his ego. You're privy to things that nobody else should know. You have to keep this a secret. We'll let you know this information. This is what's going on, but you can't tell the public this, and this is why we can't tell the public. On and on. Just basically making him feel like he's special. He's unique because he's getting this information, and he's the one that's being allowed to disseminate little kernels here and there. And they did the same thing with Bill Cooper, and they're doing the same thing with Tom DeLonge. And I knowing that he was a UFO enthusiast prior to all this, you got to think that he knows about these stories. You got to think he's seen the Mirage Men, or at least read the book or seen the documentary. But he's living it now, and he doesn't even see that, because to him, they've chosen him to help get the word out.
Yeah.
And it's just like when you try to introduce someone into a cult, like, how does Scientology get new people? It always preys on their weaknesses. Like, oh, you want a place to belong? Here, come with us. We'll show you the right way, blah, blah, blah. And then you believe there's fucking alien ghosts and every living thing on the earth. But with him, it's the same way, though. They take him in. They're like, listen, we need help getting the word out to the public so the public doesn't panic. And I think that this video from December is going to be the opening salvo. And I think for the next little while, we're gonna the next things that come out are gonna be pretty significant. And I think it's going to seem that way, but it's not what what they want us to think.
No, the footage and all the info is coming from them. They're going to show us what they want to show us. It's not going to be what we want to see. And it's that you make a great point with the Tom DeLonge stuff. I mean, like I said, I didn't know what to think about it. I still don't know what to think about it. I find it weird that he has a organization. Why do you need to have an organization if you're just trying to find out shit or release information? I mean, it seems ego driven in a way. That could be said for a lot of things, but to make mention of him not even realize he's being dick dutied. I mean, like you said, he has to know who fucking Bill Cooper is, man. He has to.
But, you know, some people can't get out of the way of their own ego, though. And that's the thing. They're, you know, it happened to them, but they're choosing me this time. I'm the good guy now. I'm the guy who's fighting against the secrets of the government, trying to get this information to the public. No, you're just another Paul Bennewitz, dude.
Yeah.
And that's it. And sure, along the way, maybe along the way, he'll realize that, but he won't care because he's making money with his books and his movies and all that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I listened to the podcast with him and Joe Rogan first, and then I watched it, and then I watched after I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched some of it again, and then I watched it again. I watched it as it was being explained by someone who is a body language expert.
Really? And that's interesting.
Yeah, and they seem to think that the things that he was saying were what he thought was the truth. Like, he wasn't making stuff up. What he's saying seems to be genuine. Like, he's not displaying any of the tics of someone who would be lying. But she said there were certain times where he acted like he was nervous by the line of questions, and that he would get kind of guarded.
Would you attribute that to him being afraid to sound dumb, or he's genuinely nervous to
I don't
slip
think it
up?
was to sound dumb, because he's in Blink-182, you know? I mean, they're very, and whether you like them or not, that's not what I'm getting at. It's, you know, they've got that dumb sense of humor, and he even admitted on the show that he was trying to explain some one of the pieces of technology that they're working with, and he was trying to explain how it works, but he even admitted, he's like, I don't know, I'm not a fucking scientist. This is what they tell me, so that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
I never thought about trusting a leak as part of disclosure. I that's not something I would trust.
See, I think a leak could be. It depends on the leak, really, and what it is.
Yeah, I agree, but I think it's got to be. I think it should be somebody's accumulation of undeniable proof. You know, I think that's the only thing we're gonna believe now. I mean, I was watching a Bigfoot documentary with Todd Standing, you know, and I had to laugh because he's a little dorky, but he's like exactly the perfect Bigfoot hunter that I'd want hunting for Bigfoot. You know, he's trying to gather information. He's not people aren't sending videos to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's got some questionable footage.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But then again, he also did work with Les Stroud, so.
Yeah.
But I think that this whole UFO thing, not, you know, the whole disclosure movement, the whole Stephen Greer thing, Tom DeLonge, all that shit, whether they know it or not, they're just pawns in this whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
The truth is far different than what anybody is letting us know. It's far scarier, and I think that's the reason why they're making all this other shit up, to distract and, you know, either distract the believers or cement in the minds of the skeptics that it's all bullshit. Those are the two goals. And there's a lot of crossover there too. You know, You release a little bit of disclosure here, you start swaying some of the skeptics a little bit. They start buying that brand of bullshit rather than the brand that there's nothing going on and the world is normal. What we know is that UFOs exist. Not alien spaceships. Not fucking mole men. We know that UFOs exist, though. There are too many things that have occurred that have been seen by thousands of people. You look at the Phoenix Lights, look at the Hudson Valley sightings, look at the Belgium wave.
Yeah, the Phoenix Lights, my go-to. I mean, that's the defining moment for me of when nobody can say that they don't exist, that it doesn't happen.
Yeah. It's you can't, I mean, you can deny it, but you're just denying what's right in front of you at that point.
Yeah.
But again, no one can explain it, but just because you can't explain it doesn't mean it's an alien from outer space. There's a lot more to a lot of this stuff, and I think that there's reasons why we're not going back to the moon, and I think there's reasons why we can't get to Mars. And I think there's reasons why we're seeing all this weird shit through satellites and through the space station. And I think it's because certain agencies or certain groups, I don't want to say, when I say agencies, it a lot of time denotes some sort of government thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this goes beyond the government, and I think it goes beyond even the military. I think a lot of this is handled privately more than anything. I think it's people with ties to high-ranking military and government officials, but I think a lot of it is private. It's in the private sector, in the military contracting companies like Boeing and Raytheon and all that shit. But we know that this shit is going on, and the weird thing is that there's all these triangles that are being seen. Triangles, just these massive triangles. And there were some, people speculate that these triangles were early on the stealth seen in test flight.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time the Phoenix Lights occurred, we knew the stealth existed. And also the stealth isn't a quarter of a mile wide. So you can't use that as an excuse, and then they use the flares, but you actually had a massive object obscure the stars. People aren't connecting the dots between flares. And even if they were flares, since when do flares fly in formation over miles? Aren't they subject to the wind?
In gravity?
Yeah.
Now, what do you think about when you watch the Phoenix Lights footage? Because one thing that always stands out to me is that for me, with the footage, it came from dozens and dozens of people, all the same thing, but nobody's fucking trying to jump off a building. Nobody's screaming or trying to shoot themselves in the face. Nobody's crying out that God's betrayed them. People were just like, check that out. That was like, that's the reaction that we'll probably get if a UFO rolls up on us again.
Yeah, I mean, I think people experiencing it, I'm sure there were people that saw it that were really freaked out by it. And there's people that are freaked out by the concept of it. But I'm not 100% convinced that incident was unknown. I think that there were people that knew what that was. And that not only knew what it was, but knew that it was going to happen.
Really? Knew that it was going to happen? See, I was thinking it was some type of cloaking failure, like that's some huge monitoring ship that we've made with alien technology. But to know that there was going to be a reveal like that?
I don't know. I feel like these glimpses that are given are for a reason. And a lot of these things are detected through... All right, so you can, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but you can set up your own satellite monitoring station at home. And you can get it mostly communication satellites, like weather satellites and things like that. But you can get access to the pictures that are being taken. And a lot of them are being taken in infrared. And through these infrared pictures, sometimes you get these strange anomalies. Sometimes those anomalies have no explanation behind it and will appear as super hot against the backdrop of the Earth, and frequently they are triangular shaped, and usually they are massive, like quarter of a mile, half a mile wide.
Now, are these the new triangles that you're talking about everybody seeing?
Yeah, but these are being caught on
home systems,
satellite, but through you can set your computer up to, like, it's not illegal or anything. It's perfectly legal. You can, I don't know exactly what you have to do, but you download some programs and set your computer up, and you can just get the feed from these satellites, and you can spot them. You can spot these things. And the weird thing is, so a lot of the time, the government and the military will say that they have no interest in UFOs. The Air Force was known to do it. They did it all along, and then just in December, they admit that they had this threat detection program, the aerial threat detection. But the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, the NOAA, they have a special director who his job title is the Director of Analyzing Anomalies. So for people, well, not only people, but as their satellites, the NOAA satellites are observing the Earth, this guy is looking for anomalies that appear. And if any civilians detect any anomalies and they contact the NOAA, they'll refer them to this guy, even though officially the NOAA says that they do not look into these anomalies at all, but they have a director that reviews them. So, I mean, that seems kind of weird right there. The military doesn't admit to it, but then they admit to it. And how many stories have we heard about Roswell now? I don't know. There's too much shit.
Yeah.
And then we haven't been back to the moon. We haven't been able to get a manned flight to Mars. In fact, I don't know if you knew this, but since the early 60s, when we started sending unmanned probes to Mars, about half of them have failed.
Half, huh?
Yeah. Some of them failed completely. Some of them just disappeared. In 1993, NASA sent a probe to Mars, and just as it was about to enter Mars orbit, they completely lost communication with it. Never picked it back up again. Just gone. And there was a couple of years before that, there was Russia was sending out Martian probes, and a couple of them also were about to enter orbit and just completely lost communication. And I guess according to one of the Russian government documents, that there was they sent up the Phobos 2 spacecraft in the 90s, and they saw this large cylindrical object that it basically intercepted it, and then as soon as it came into contact, the satellite disappeared.
Whoa.
And apparently there's other cases where there have been objects detected in space. They're being observed. They'll cross over where a satellite is, and then they keep going, and the satellite's gone. And I don't know if you remember, I think we talked about it fairly recently, but one of the sightings that I had a while back was I was watching a UFO, and all of a sudden the UFO split and went into two separate directions. But it just looked like I was just watching a satellite. That's all, it was just a light moving in the sky, and all of a sudden it just split and went in opposite directions. Two opposite directions. Fucking bonkers, man.
It exploded.
May as well have. But and then, do you remember a couple of years ago when Russia was getting ready to launch the rover, I think it was a rover, the Phobos Grunt, to the moon of Phobos?
Mm-hmm.
And it was sabotaged before it even was able to launch, and they had to scrap the whole mission.
How was it sabotaged?
It failed.
Oh.
And it was some computer thing, so they think it was sabotaged before it was able to launch. And if you remember, Buzz Aldrin said that there was a monolith on Phobos, and we have no idea who put it there.
Ah, they didn't get clearance after all to return.
So it seems like for some reason we're being denied the knowledge. We can't go back to the moon for some reason, and you cannot tell me that it's because we have nothing more to learn on the moon. We had what, 6 missions there, something like that,
and nobody returns to the moon. But that's the thing. Nobody goes back. It's not just the United States who hasn't returned. Nobody goes back.
Well, nobody else has been there.
Yeah,
we're the only country that's been there.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I guess China is working on a program to go to the moon, but it is very strange that we were the only ones that have been there. We being the United States, and no other country has been there, and we haven't been back since the 70s.
Do you think that that's what made the United States a quote superpower? Is that they were the ones who found the alien ray gun turrets on the moon?
Nah, we became a superpower because of World War I and II. Mostly World War II. That's when we really took over. Like, well, Russia's poor, Germany's split up, England got their ass kicked, France was under German control. We defeated Italy. We nuked Japan. Like we were it.
Yeah.
We had no war touch our country, yet we were involved all over the world. So we reaped all the profits from war and had none of the destruction to deal with afterwards. And also we had fucking UFOs and Nazi scientists.
Space crystal gems that were worth trillions.
Well, I don't know about that. That might be going too far. But I really think that there's a reason why things are being kept the way they are, and why we're being fed the line of bullshit about aliens when it's not fucking aliens, and why the UFOs are just mocked and made fun of, and then out of the other side of their mouth they're saying, but look, here's some footage too, and they're just giving us 2 very different messages, and none of the messages they're giving us is real. And we can even get into the abduction scenario and the cattle mutilation scenario. I think that in a way these are being tied to the UFO subject without any actual any actual evidence behind it. Like, we have reports of from people that were abducted, and they always claim aliens, whether it be reptoids or greys or giant insects or scary monsters or whatever. But I think that this has more to do with like MK Ultra type of things than anything. And maybe the whole cattle mutilation thing ties in with the human abduction thing, and it's has to do with DNA or genetics, or somehow connecting the two together, not to make a cow baby or anything, but I mean, fuck, I don't even know. I can't even pretend to know what the hell they're doing, but I very much feel that there's a human hand behind that.
I can agree with that.
And maybe some of the abduction things are attempts at mind control, because there's, different people experience different things. You have some people that have the surgical and sexual aspect to it, and then you have others where they're experiencing this whole other thing where they're like getting all this information pumped into their brain, and they're being taught star maps and all this other shit.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's all just different experiments going on to see where we can take the human body and the human mind, and rather than have people thinking they're being abducted by some guy, they're probably drugged or hypnotized into either forgetting completely, or maybe they've got a screen memory, so if it comes back they remember aliens instead of people.
I just always felt the cat emulation was something that it's like a bone that they throw. It's something they throw in the mix to confuse or just, I don't know, throw people off. I don't think that has to do with much of anything, any type of experimentation. I think that's just some weird thing they do.
Really? To me, I feel like there's got to be something behind it. And that's the only one that I think there might be something otherworldly, maybe.
I think if they wanted to do experiments on cows, I think they'd be able to do that in secret, easily.
That's the thing. If it was a human hand doing it, then I don't see any reason why they couldn't raise their own cattle. And you could argue that maybe they're fucking cheap and they don't want to. But the amount of work that goes into these cattle mutilations is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't tell me that you're going to be able to get onto a ranch, kill the cattle so there's no blood on the ground, make surgical cuts, there's no evidence that you've driven in or out, and that's going to be cheaper than raising your own cattle. Like, it doesn't make sense. And there have been cases where there was evidence that the cattle may have been lifted into the air. It had something to do with the way the hips were displaced afterwards. Mm-hmm. But even that, if you're saying it was a human hand, that would mean it would have to be a helicopter. So you're telling me a helicopter is hovering over a field on a ranch and no one's going to fucking notice that?
Yeah, not even the people on that ranch, just nearby people would notice that.
Yeah, and there's some instances where it happens within 20 minutes of seeing the cattle in question. The farmer or ranch hand or whatever will be doing their rounds. They'll see the cattle. They'll go and they'll come back 20 minutes, half hour later, and the cattle they had just passed is now dead. Wow. And a lot of the other animals seem to act all panicky, especially dogs. Dogs seem to get really panicky if they were present or if they're in the area when it happens. And the fact that it also was a big thing that happened on the Skinwalker Ranch with everything else that was going on. And I really feel, and I know I've said this a million times now, and everybody that listens knows what road I'm going down here, but I really feel that this has something to do with ultra-dimensional beings. And I don't even think it's life in the way that we know it. You know, like when you think of aliens, when you think of UFOs, you think of flesh and blood and some sort of metal for their ship. But I think it's more than that. I think maybe, especially these lights in the sky that we see that are unexplained, that maybe it's just energy. And most of the time we don't see it, but it's still there. I mean, you typically don't see energy. It exists on different spectrums, you know, depending on what it is. But maybe during some, you know, maybe it's when they're first coming in or when they're phasing out, or I don't know. I don't have a fucking energy craft, so I don't know how they work. But through something they do, we're able to see them occasionally. And if you remember the Skinwalker Ranch, there was portals that were said to have opened up, and one time a black triangle came out, one time light came out, and there was another time that a creature was observed coming out. I mean, just seeing a portal open in the sky is fucking scary. But the way that portal looked, it didn't look like a portal in the sky. Well, from one angle it did, but if you moved your angle, it was like 2D. So as you moved your angle, it kind of narrowed and narrowed until it was just like a line in the sky. And then you'd move back and you'd see that it was an open portal. So I think that's and I don't even know what these things are, but I think that whoever is in charge of this whole UFO thing is aware of what's going on, whether they know exactly what these things are or what they want or why they're here, or, you know, because you gotta think, if there's these beings that are that powerful that can come and go as they please, why would they even bother making deals with humanity? You know, it doesn't make any sense. Like, hey, let us abduct some people and we'll give you these
That's
pretty
true.
sweet weapons. Or we can just use these pretty sweet weapons and have as many people as we want. So maybe we could even go down the fucking the reptilian rabbit hole here. And I don't mean like actual physical lizard people, but maybe whatever these things are able to manipulate us in a way that they can control the way that certain people act or perceive things, so that they're able to control the narrative on their existence and make it never a clear thing. Like if we're saying that these things are interplanetary and they're coming in from another planet or another star system, then we're going to be looking up. We're going to be expecting them to come from space. But if these things are multidimensional, they can literally open up a portal under your foot and invade your house. And there's been that conspiracy for a while of Project Bluebeam or Operation Bluebeam, where they're going to be using all this wacky technology to stage what looks like an alien invasion as a false flag attack. And I mean, with what we're getting now, I could see that. We're getting everyone that's pushing for disclosure is also claiming that these things seem to have a peaceful agenda. Either they know through communication, or they're basing it solely on the fact that we are still here. But maybe that's kind of leading us to a false sense of security. But then again, you've got all these movies where we're being invaded by aliens and somehow the humans triumph over these aliens. So maybe it's all a thing just setting the stage. One chunk of the population thinks they're all light and love, and then another chunk of the population thinks they're going to be marauding killers. And then you've got this blue beam that's going to happen, and somehow this advanced race of aliens is going to be defeated by the might of Earth's military. I'm sure led by the dick of American might. And we will defeat the imaginary threat that was basically staged for us. It'll be like a fucking movie, but in real life, and there'll be real casualties, but it's all phony. And behind it all are these multidimensional beings that are fucking controlling the entire world. They're controlling the media. They're controlling fucking everything. In a way, David Icke was probably right, but I don't think they're shape-shifting lizard people. If anything, I don't even think that they're physical beings. You could look at them more as spirits, I guess. And these same things are probably the same things that people would consider hauntings, and they're just able to reach through non-physically and fuck with people. And that's where the trickster comes in. The archetype of the trickster is from these beings, and you've got, whether you want to call them angels and demons or jinn or fairies or what, aliens. I mean, in the literal sense, they are alien. They're just not from space. They're a completely different life form that most of us can't even fathom. But I think that they are able to maybe even possess in a way, get into someone's mind and control them. I mean, not like wear their body as a suit or anything, but be able to influence a person's mind so that they will go a certain way or do a certain thing or have a certain belief system.
Well, maybe that's what the abductions are for. Like you said, why don't they just turn their guns on us and take all the people they need? Maybe these abductions are being done by us because we're trying to replicate some ability that these interdimensional creatures have. I mean, with all the disclosure stuff that's coming out and the new footage you said that you were talking about, I mean, again, I have to question, they're going to let us know about aliens? To me, that's okay, I think it's aliens. Sure, go with that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, they've had all this time to come forward and say, we've known about this for, the past 60 plus years. We've been going through this. And mainly it started ramping up around World War II, but even before World War II, there was still sightings. And, you can even look at some texts going back centuries and see people writing about strange lights that they've observed moving in the sky. And when you're looking back that far, you're seeing strange lights moving in the sky that's not a comet. Like, there's no planes you can blame. You can't say that it was a weather balloon,
Yeah, no shit.
But people are reporting these lights, and they're still reporting lights and weird things in the sky. And then we've got all sorts of weird shit, like the Norway spiral. That's allegedly a fucking rocket that was spinning out of control, but it made a perfect fucking circular spiral and stayed. Like, if a rocket's spinning out of control, I'm going to expect it to be flying across the sky, not spinning stationary in a circle, and then have create a spiral that stayed in the sky and glowed and then collapsed in on itself.
Holy shit balls.
Like just the way that looked, it looked like a fucking, like a portal opening and then collapsing in on itself. If it had moved across the sky in a spiral, I totally would have bought the story that it was a rocket. But it didn't. It stayed in one place and spun. It's that newfangled hover rocket. It just stays stationary, just in case you need it. And then all these weird missile tests that are being seen over fucking California. Like, what, there have been 2 in the past couple of years? With that big, wacky fucking smoke bubble trail thing. Like, it looks so fucking weird, but why are they doing that over California? Why are they doing it over places where people can see, knowing that people are going to think it looks fucking crazy and think it's a UFO? Like, they're not doing fucking military tests over California. There's a different purpose behind that.
Yeah, for sure. I remember when it happened like a couple years ago, that we both were like, why would they do that just over California like that? And to see it happen again, it's like, well, what are you doing? Are these like panic attack tests for like the public?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we literally have miles of desert that are devoted for missile testing. And even if you were launching them from the ocean, launch them out into the Pacific. Don't launch them over fucking California. It makes no sense. But I think they know that it looks alien. It looks strange. So people are going to see it, and it's going to kind of get people used to seeing this weird shit in the sky.
Yeah, it's very interesting to think about the interdimensional creature thing now. After, thinking about different angles, letting us think that it is aliens. Because to me, whenever they release information, or that's just, again, even with just like certain footage and stuff, it's just the idea itself can be released. The idea itself could be propaganda, and for them to say they're going to start doing this disclosure stuff, and it's, you hear it everywhere. This is the year. They're going to do it this year. They're actually going to do it. And I almost going to be shocked when they say, yep, it's aliens. It's dudes in silver spacesuits with giant green heads, and they fucking, all right.
Yeah, but then the weirdest thing is all these other crazy stories that you hear, like the Phil Schneider story. What the fuck was he dealing with? Like, were they space aliens, or is there something that's older than us that exists on this earth? Because where he was drilling, these things were already down there living.
Didn't they say they knew about it, but they tried to drill, like, they tried to avoid it or drill around it or something like that?
He said that they weren't even prepped for that. They were drilling. He was told they were drilling to make an underground base. And as he went down the shaft, there were these 9-foot grays that fucking killed everybody. So what the fuck was that? Like, I mean, you see something like that, and I wouldn't, if I was underground and I saw this big hulking scary monster thing, I wouldn't be thinking alien. I'd be thinking, fuck, there's an underground monster that lives here,
Yeah, subterranean people or something like that.
Yeah, I would. So, is there an ancient race that lives here? Maybe, or maybe the multidimensional creatures are able to take physical form in some way. Maybe it's two completely separate things. Maybe all this shit with the underground bases and Dulcie and all that is us working with this race that went underground sometime in the past, and they've got these subterranean cities. I think isn't that basically what the reptilian thing is, that they live here on Earth? But David Icke's reptilians are aliens, though, aren't they? Rather than ancient civilization that lives here.
I think even the ancient civilization people think they came from the stars. So,
oh yeah, I mean, when you boil down to it, didn't we all come from the stars in some way? We're all stardust and all that shit. But just because your fucking ancient ancestors said that the gods came from the sky doesn't make it so. Maybe they just fell out of a tree. You weren't there. You don't know. Yeah. So basically what I'm trying to get at is, I know it's fun to believe in aliens and all this shit, but it is exciting to consider disclosure, and it's exciting to think that there's people within the military and government that are actually pushing for this shit. But when you really get down to it, you need to be skeptical of this stuff. And I hate to get all conspiracy minded, but you kind of got to think, why are they giving this information? After all this time, why now? Why are they choosing this now? And it's not out of the goodness of their heart, and it's not because it's weighing on their conscience, like, oh, we need to let the people know.
Mm-hmm.
They've been hiding this for almost 70 years at this point, maybe even longer for all we know. And to just all of a sudden now say, now's the time that we're going to start releasing this information and admit it little by little. It's always been little by little. They give us just enough to make our minds go, but not enough to actually confirm what their story is, what the story is saying is true.
Yeah, or at least enough information to keep the crazies talking about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you can keep the crazies talking, then you discredit the entire subject. But then you have people that are actually prominent individuals or reliable individuals, people like Paul Hellyer and Stanton Friedman that have a background in government or a background in science. And you've got astronauts coming out and talking about the subject. So that kind of brings some legitimacy back. But then for every legitimate witness you have, you're going to have someone saying that they had sex with aliens and woke up with their pubic hair stuck in their foreskin. Go back to the episode with Dirty DeVoe for that one. But how many wacky, crazy alien stories have you heard? They seem to be the norm, and the actual reliable witnesses or reliable people that actually want to bring science onto the subject and research it from a scientific standpoint rather than from a fancy standpoint a fantasy standpoint where you're just making up all these wacky stories about fucking glowing praying mantis beings that had sex with your wife and impregnated her and then took the larva baby back to their home planet. Like, all sorts of wacky shit. But for every one of those, or for every legitimate case, you got all these crazy ones. So it's, you're keeping the legitimate side off balance with the wacky side. And then when you have people that are legitimately trying to come in and figure this shit out, they're discredited because no one legitimate wants to touch it with a 20-foot pole.
Maybe that's the key. Maybe we gotta save up. Maybe we just gotta balance the bullshit and the truth at a certain level. And when we put out something that's truthful or something truthful comes out, we just slam it with another one, like a 1-2 punch, and people go, whoa. And maybe suddenly unsettle the balance.
Well, I mean, you can just go back to Roswell for a perfect example of the way the government and the military spin things. We got three different official stories from them. First one, a disc was recovered. a flying disc was recovered. Second one, immediately redact the flying disc. It was a weather balloon. And then the official story was that it was a Project Mogul balloon that was used to detect acoustics in the atmosphere in order to determine whether the Soviets were testing nukes. And that's what crashed on the ranch. We've got 3 different stories coming from the same source.
Just imagine if that happened now. There would be cries of fake news instantly and be like, well, which one is it, assholes? They wouldn't be able to get away with that now.
Everything's fake news now. You can't, even if you're telling real news, it's fucking fake news. No one believes shit. People don't want to know. We've got this. Do you remember a few years ago, maybe 2012 or 11, when the FBI loaded all those UFO files into the FBI vault, and we had that Guy Hodel memo where he was talking about investigating the crash and seeing the bodies. Like that was an official document released by the FBI, and it even said explicitly in there that there was a UFO crash and there were bodies recovered, and nobody batted an eye about it. That wasn't considered a smoking gun. Now we've got this video, and we've got the Air Force admitting that there was millions of dollars dumped into this project every year to assess unknown aerial threats. And we've got that video, and we find out that Harry Reid was supporting that all along the way, and it's weird, And then after releasing that, they say that that program is no longer something that's been going on. But how many times have we heard that song and dance as well? Like I said, we went from Grudge to Blue Book. They said that there was no interest in UFOs, yet we keep hearing all these things about their interest in UFOs. Just like the NOAA, they said that they don't look into the anomalies that appear in the pictures, but they have a director that reviews the anomalies that takes place in the pictures. It's all distract with one hand, and you're flashing your fingers with your right hand while you're doing all sorts of wacky shit with your left hand. and it's enough to keep people off balance, I think, and you're indoctrinating the public to the idea that this is a thing that exists while also mocking the very idea that that thing exists. So it is, because it's even, you're creating believers and skeptics, but in the minds of the skeptics, you're still creating the idea that it might be plausible, by putting out all these official government things. The idea that this stuff could be real, you've planted that seed. So then if you want to manipulate that and release more information, or go through with Bluebeam and do this crazy false flag where aliens attack Earth and then Earth is saved at the last minute by the loving hand of government or military or what have you, then it's believable. It's like, yeah, that was aliens. Holy shit, aliens existed and we defeated them, and now we're the best in the universe. We're number one. But really, we just beat ourselves. Yay us. Just like we've been doing for fucking centuries now. Like, we need to evolve, man. That's ridiculous. So anyway, I don't want to, I know there's a lot of believers in the nuts and bolts craft and the flesh and blood aliens. And it's definitely fun. I enjoy reading about it. I enjoy talking about it. The idea is awesome. Like, I definitely don't think we're alone in the universe, in the physical universe. I'm sure there's flesh and blood beings out there. I'm just not convinced that they're visiting us here. Why us? And I know the ancient alien thing. Oh, they created us. They guided mankind through. Bullshit. They didn't. Like, stop hampering human ingenuity. We're capable of many great and wonderful things, and saying that it was because of aliens is just completely downplaying our accomplishments, and that's bullshit. Suck it, Sukalos.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.